to Your Average Witch, where every other Tuesday we talk about witch life, witch stories, and sometimes a little witchcraft. This week's episode is brought to you by Flora and Function, functional handmade pottery that helps you have a magical start to every day. Get yours at flora-and-function.com. This week I'm talking with Mike, the other half of the Magic of the Rusted Rabbit. We talked about communication, community, and cannibalism. Okay, not really. I mean, kind of. But anyway, let's get to the stories. Mike, hello, good morning. It is still morning here. I know it's not for you, but hello, good morning.
Hello. How's it going, Kim?
It's great.
Good.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Can you please introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do and where they can find you?
Absolutely. My name is Mike Ditter. My pronouns are they/them/destroyer of gender as a construct. I am one half of the handmade jewelry team called the Rusted Rabbit. We are based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The other half is my lovely partner, Lindsay Abbott. And you can find us on the Devil's socials, like Facebook, we are the Rusted Rabbit, and on Instagram, we are at the Real Rusted Rabbit GR, and we also have a website, www.therustedраbbitgr.com.
What is the GR?
Grand Rapids is where we live.
I always wondered. I thought it was some, I don't know, rock thing.
We're just gurring at you. Grr. Going back to the emo days.
Can you, first of all, do you call yourself a witch?
Yes, in a vague sense of the term. I would say that I identify with the label, yes.
What does it mean? What does the word mean to you, and how do you assign it to yourself?
So the word means to me, and how I assign it to myself, I would say that the word witch means kind of an identity that I take on as a form of protest. It's kind of the idea that this thing, what being something outside of the main religions, is feared and ostracized and not taken seriously, and also to the point of like literal persecution and murder. So for me, it's kind of a taking back of an identity outside of what is expected. So yeah, I think that's kind of what it means to me and why I use it personally.
Cool. Can you introduce us to your practice? Do you do anything like consistently or inconsistently?
So everything in my life is very inconsistent. But I've been an on and off practitioner most of my life. From 5th to 7th grade, I considered myself Wiccan before I really understood what any of this was. Me and a few friends would go and circle up inside of a large hedge at our school and try casting spells. The one I remember the most was called Turn Your Bully Green. We tried, but unfortunately never saw a result from that spell. Fast forward to today, the most constant form of practice that I have is transmutation, making something from nothing, turning something undesirable into something desirable. A lot of my practice comes out in my jewelry, having the power to turn metals and minerals into talismans of protection, power, healing, joy, and so much more. I believe that even our smallest choices, practices, and actions are actually ritual. And I don't have a structured practice, as I said already. And I promised myself that I would never look for organization in my belief, never wanting to fall into the trap of someone else's belief and taking that on as my own.
Huh. So you're not going to go out and join a coven?
Not really. It's not really something that interests me. I think it's a beautiful practice and a beautiful way of like building and finding community. I don't take that away from anyone. Anyone that looks to religion or finding a coven or a group that follows a similar belief system to them. But for me, it's just I really like to, being like a triple Aquarius and 6 times over Capricorn, I really like to make my own way. And if someone tries to tell me that what I should think or not think, I'm probably going to jump out a window.
I didn't know that about you, and it does. It explains things.
Yeah.
What's the biggest motivator in your practice, and how does it contrast with your biggest struggle? Or how does it relate to your biggest struggle?
Okay. So this is going to be a lot of rephrasing and coming back to similar themes. But my biggest motivator in practice is, again, shirking conventionality and shirking expectation. Today, in the world we live in, it kind of feels unsafe to be anything other than white, cisgendered, hetero, Christian. And I believe that that's on purpose. The people in those groups and setting up those systems, know that all of those institutions are in danger of losing control of the populace and losing control of the narrative. They combat that by making the world feel unsafe for people like us or anyone that isn't them, in an effort to wear people down into falling into one of their categories. All they seem to care about is numbers and control. So my motivation is pushing back against all of those institutions, trying to take their power away. In doing that, I have accepted myself for who I am: queer, gender nonconforming, pagan. One thing I can't change is my whiteness, but what I can change is how I wear that whiteness and how I wield it. I choose to use my privilege to push back on those institutions that give me this unearned privilege and try my hardest to uplift those who have been victimized by the system. And I think the biggest way. What was the second part of the question again?
How does it interact with your biggest struggle?
So I think that is my biggest struggle, is the imposter syndrome, feeling like I shouldn't have a space because I am so masculine presenting in my day-to-day life and so white that this isn't the space for me to speak up, and that I should be kind of, sitting down and keeping my thoughts to myself and letting other people speak on what's happening in the world. So that's been one of my biggest struggles. Even though I am a champion of the same beliefs, it can be really hard to try and speak up about those beliefs because it feels like the world doesn't need to hear from another white dude. You know what I mean?
Plus, the repercussions are scary.
Absolutely. And not, for good reason. It's definitely a system of privilege and oppression that has been really good for people like me for 500, 600 years. And, you know, um, when systems like that start to lose control, there are just so many different ways that it tries to hold on to control. And I'm trying to be something that is not holding on to control. I'm trying to be something that wants to pass that on.
I appreciate it. What is something you wish more people would ask you about?
So I love this question in particular. I hope it doesn't sound too similar to Lindsay's answer. I don't know her answer, but I hope it doesn't sound
I
too
don't remember
similar.
her answer, so it's going to be a surprise either way.
So I wish more people asked me about myself as a human and as an individual. My partner Lindsay and I have been together since we were 18, 19 years old, so about 16 years. In
Good
that
Lord.
time, I know, we're babies. in that time, we've done almost everything together. We started a business, grown, lost, and transmuted social circles, and it can be really hard to not lose your personal identity inside of a partnership like that. While I am forever grateful for the love and time that I've been given in this relationship, I wish more people would see us and treat us as individuals instead of one half of a couple. And I implore people when they're dealing with people in their lives to practice seeing every person that you meet as a full and vibrant individual with lots to give on their own and not just their proximity to someone else.
Not that famous football player's girlfriend.
Exactly.
Her name's Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's out there killing it.
I don't remember the boyfriend's name, but whatever. You get the point.
Yep, me either. We can call him Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
I only barely remember her name, so
fair enough. Me too.
think about your favorite tool, whether it's an actual physical object or a song or some sort of story you heard once. What is your favorite tool to use in your practice, and how do you use it?
So thinking about this one hit pretty close to home for me. I think that my favorite tool is communication. The ability to share perspective with those that I come across, to learn from each other's mistakes and accomplishments, to glean a glimpse into someone else's existence. I think this is one of the most important and powerful tools we have as a species. And I personally believe that's why so many people in power are trying to attack communication, whether it be through indoctrination on social media or what have you. And turning that communication into just dogpiling and attacking instead of holding space and understanding. I think it is up to us to realize when we are falling into groupthink and falling into echo chambers and try to push back against the temporary comfort that those echo chambers and groupthink affords us.
I'm just picturing people that we both know listening to this.
Yeah.
That's fun to
do. Yeah.
Thinking of them going, yeah, that.
Or, yeah, shut up, white dude. That's a lot of privilege talking.
Or that.
Yep. I mean, it really goes both ways. I completely understand the privilege that I've been afforded, and I know that it's easier for me to think in those ways. I just kind of hope that we find a way to societally meet in the middle and learn to not even meet in the middle, but actually learn to communicate and find a way to move past all of these what's the word for it, the social conditioning that we've been put into, and all of these the right wing the social wars that they've been trying to push through their media of attacking trans individuals, of attacking so many other underserved and underprivileged groups just because they can, and they can use that as a distraction. And I hope that we as a society can learn to move past those things.
Seconded. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get derailed on rants. I really am.
Oh, I mean, go for it, dude.
I cannot. My blood pressure.
Fair enough.
I cannot right now.
I feel ya.
What's something you wish was discussed more in the magical community?
So this one, again, it might, I hope it doesn't ruffle feathers, and I hope that my meaning comes across, but I think something that I wish was discussed more and why I wanted to bring it up is the dangers of organization of belief. Because when you think about it, every single person alive, 8 billion and something of us, has their very own belief system. Sure, many find themselves in large groups of people that think similarly, but that belief system could never be a one for one copy of someone else's. We all have our own lived experiences that shape our perspective, so even if you and I call ourselves witches or pagan or what have you, we will have wildly different perspectives on what that means. In larger organized religions, this has turned into hate, segregation, even genocide. In the magical community, we are not immune to this kind of group thinking. And it has turned into gatekeeping, exclusion, lack of empathy, and the idea that your 1 in 8 billion belief system can somehow say that someone else is other and therefore wrong. I think that the true power and the chance for growth as a species hinges on us realizing that none of us are more important or deserving than any other, and we are all one consciousness experiencing itself in billions of different ways.
That little phrase drives me crazy. Okay, yeah. Okay, not that phrase specifically, but I am the universe experiencing itself or whatever. That hurts my
Right, right.
brain. It hurts my feelings. Stop making me
Yeah,
think about things.
I know.
Just let me eat these McNuggets and leave me alone.
I mean, I this will be the first time that I make this disclaimer, but I don't condone cannibalism. But if we are going to eat ourselves in the form of chicken nuggets, then I think you should be free to.
Okay, thanks. I'll be right back.
I'll be here. Grab me some.
What steps have you taken to build community near you? Physically near
Um,
you?
so this is something that I feel like I'm going to be working on for the rest of my life. It's not something that I feel inherently good at, but being human, I have been hurt by the community that I worked to build in my 20s. So I am still licking those wounds, so to speak. But that being said, I am still pushing to create spaces around me that are safe. And I have helped to organize community cleanup walks where we go walk through parks and just pick up any trash, anything that's out of place that we can. I hope to get back to doing those. It's been a few years. More recently, I've been working on creating activities for people to get together and get back to our roots. What that looks like is getting out into a field somewhere with people that you don't know and playing games that we played in childhood. The goal of those activities is to bring us back to the schoolyard before the world taught us to be afraid and protective, to tear down the walls we've built and work on letting trust and love back into our lives. As far as resources, I say to, and this is going to be, I'm sure no one's ever said this before, I say to use yourself as a resource. What do you need from society? Ask yourself, what do you need from life and from your community? Once you've answered that question, it's time to either find that thing or create it yourself. We are powerful beings full of ideas and promise, and we can do amazing things. Also, know this: if you need that thing, there are plenty of other people around you that need it too. And if you won't do it for yourself, try and do it for them.
Okay, let's go into that a little bit.
I'd love to.
How do you find those people?
Uh, Put yourself out there. You know, there
Out
are.
where?
um, I mean, again, kind of use yourself as that resource. What places come to mind when you think of putting yourself out there? From my perspective, from my experience growing up, in the time that I did, it seems easiest to do that through the different social media outlets that we have. Um, there are different newsletters, usually for many people that are at least semi local, that you can speak to, get your listings into. I've done that with a few of the Rusted Rabbits. events that we've done, like wire wrapping workshops and stuff like that. Also, you can talk to the other media outlets. A lot of times they are looking for different smaller local stories to share. Whether or
That's
not
terrifying.
it is, yes. I agree. And again, none of these are one size fits all answer. It's just what works for you. You can even there are still bulletin boards all over the place that you can go and hang something up. And if it's in a trafficked enough area, then you might get the right eyes onto something. So yeah, I say just kind of look around you and see what around you seems like the right way to put yourself out there to find those people. And a lot of times there's already going to be different activities that are kind of lining up with what you want to do. So go and join those things. Like for example, with my idea of doing the kids games, I know around Grand Rapids we have a lot of different like kickball leagues and baseball leagues and soccer leagues and just other like leagues of different games. I can go out and start participating in those, and through participating in those I can meet people, talk to them about my ideas, and you never know what's going to come out of that.
Have you ever tried Meetup? I'm sure you have.
So that is one that I really need to do more work with. I have dabbled. With Meetup, and it seems like a really great and useful tool that just somehow slips my mind 100% of the time.
I look at it and I think, ooh, here's something I really want to attend. And then I mark it and I put it in my calendar, and then I'm afraid to go to it and I don't.
Right. I've done that more
Ta-da!
times than yeah, I've done that more times than I've followed through. I think I've followed through on one of those things and said I was going to do at least 20. So I feel you on that.
Okay, so places people can try that are not traditional social media, at least
Yeah.
not usually talked about. Nextdoor,
Mhm.
Meetup. There's got to be more than that.
I know.
Got to be more than those two websites that are not
Yeah.
Facebook, or it's not Meta.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel you on that. And I don't think we're claiming to be experts in the field, but yes, I know there are plenty of other things, and I would love for people to, if you have ideas on those different websites, different outlets that you can use, put them in the comments under.
You know what? Yeah, I don't know that I have comments anywhere. I don't know how it works, but
Right.
and if anybody thinks it has other resources for this specific thing, email me youraveragewitchpodcast@gmail.com, and I will add them to a resource list at the bottom of this interview page on my website.
I love
and I'll
that.
try to do it. I'll try to do it on the other stuff, but the other stuff updates weird because it feeds from my host to feeder sites like Spotify. But on my website, I have control, so I know it'll be there. But if you have suggestions, email them to me.
I love that.
Think about your three biggest influences, whether it's a person or like an old pet or a book you read once, and thank them for the influence that they have on your practice.
All right. So this one got a little long. I'm sure people can tell I'm reading answers that I wrote down. Usually I speak a lot less monotone. So all of that to say that this one got a little long-winded. My three biggest influences, when I really tried, because I had a hard time boiling this down into three particular influences, came down to artists, community builders, and the idea that we are all inherently deserving of love. Starting with artists, Artists of all kinds have influenced me by sharing their ideas, their failures and successes, and preserving their art forms in an effort to share it and pass it on to whoever is next in line. I think that that is huge. I think that it can be really hard to want to share what we're doing with other people because so many of the things in our world are set up to be finite resources, and everything that has made it feel like almost everything in our life is a finite resource. Our talent, our energy, our love has kind of become boiled down to these things that we feel are finite resources. And I think in some ways it's true, but I think in other ways that it's not. And I think that it's important as artists that we try and push for more people to join into those art forms because it is such a beautiful way to share pain, share loss, share grief, share joy, share beauty, share the experiences that we experience in life. Um, Community builders have influenced me by showing the importance of creating and maintaining spaces for people of all types to come together and share what makes their lives worth living. Given how easy it is to try and isolate in today's world, I think the reminder that we need others and that that need is not shameful whatsoever is more important now than ever. And then the idea that we are all deserving of love has made me who I am. Someone who gives my love freely, someone who doesn't automatically jump to gauging whether or not someone is a danger to me when first meeting them, someone who gives the trust that I so deeply crave fully and without reservation, and sometimes to a fault. I know, I think it last year at Anahata's Purpose. I think you were just getting there, and I like came up to you and I didn't realize that you were a very hug averse person. And I came in and I was like, "Hey, can I have a hug?" And like, I get it. The world is terrifying and scary. And I could sense the hesitation, which understandable, 100% understandable. But I really appreciated you kind of giving in to that moment, even though you felt uncomfortable. I am sorry if you felt pressured to give back into that hug. That's one of those moments, actually, the late night cringe moments when you're just sitting there awake and you're like, oh, why did I do that? That's one of the moments that comes up for me a lot is hoping that I didn't make you feel pressured into something that you couldn't say no to. Um, but yeah.
I just realized I had been interacting with you, and then I noticed that my mute button was on. Ta-da!
Oh,
I did mean to chime in.
oh.
Anyway, I do remember that.
Yeah. So yes, I hope that didn't make you too uncomfortable.
No, I actually went last year, and part of one of my goals in going was to get more comfortable accepting affection
Right.
from
Well,
people who I'm reasonably sure are not going to hurt me.
right, absolutely. Well, you did a damn good job. It feels like you kicked the door open and accepted my hug and my love, and yeah, I think you did a damn good job
Oh, yay,
with that
thanks.
being your goal. Absolutely. And also all of that to say, I do understand that I do understand the privilege that comes into play with that concept of loving freely and not being afraid and trusting. I understand that that is a privilege that is afforded to me as a masculine presenting white person in this world. It is not as safe. This world is not as safe for most other people that don't look like me. So I understand 100% that that is a privilege, and I do not take that for granted at all. But I'll say it again, I really do hope we can build a world where it feels just as easy and safe for everyone that doesn't look like me. And I thank all of those things for giving me the ability to truly see those around me without fear and judgment clouding my perspective.
I just want to point out one little thing. It might be more than one. I don't know. Just want to point something out that
Yeah.
while I don't think it's as scary physically, like you're probably not afraid that someone is going to try to murder you when that happens. It's still scary for men to show emotion because you're basically raised from birth to the only emotion you can express is some kind of macho thing. And if you show any emotion that is not that, then somebody's going to come get you.
Absolutely. That has been a big part of a big thing I've learned through deconstructing my own and reconstructing my own gender identity is having to really focus on what was expected of me as a person born with a penis and what how I wanted to move forward in the world. I absolutely agree that it's probably scary for all of us. Absolutely.
Plus, the only time you're supposed to touch anybody per capitalist white cis male religious upbringing, the only time you're supposed to touch another person is if you're having sex with them. You don't
Hmm.
give hugs or accept hugs or
Right.
touch on the hand or back or whatever. You don't hold hands unless you're in a romantic relationship with that person. And that's really weird.
I know, it's so stupid. It's so backwards compared to the way our ancestors lived. I was talking about this with Lindsay a few weeks ago, and when we were kind of talking about the questions for her interview, just kind of going into sorry, my dog just ran in. Little Henry wanted to come say hi. But yes, I agree that it's kind of it is the goal of a capitalist society to make us all feel the the need for rugged individualism, because that's what sells millions of cars every year. That's what sells everything around us, is the feeling that we all need to have all of these things for ourselves. And unfortunately, that has boiled down to our relationship and our intimacy too. We are supposed to have all of these things for ourselves, only for ourselves, and only from one place or one person.
That's so wild.
It is. It's crazy to me.
Good Lord. Okay. Anyway,
I'm happy to see society breaking out of it, though. Like
me too.
I feel like a lot of people are starting to wake up and be like, "No, what? No, I'm gonna go kiss my friend's face now. Fuck that."
Yeah.
Like,
Please don't nobody do that to me, please.
yeah, don't.
But I see, yes, I get the draw.
Absolutely.
What advice do you have for new practitioners?
So this one's hard for me. This one was kind of phoned in, I think, because I don't feel like I have a lot of advice, but what I could kind of boil it down to was listen, dream, and trust. Listen when someone asks you not to do something that is a sacred and close practice. Listen. Dream when you feel lost on your path and don't know what to do. Dream up your own ideal path forward and move in conjunction with that path. And then trust yourself and follow your intuition. So those would be my main points of advice.
Nice. Who do you think I should have on the show?
So these are a few people from our area here in Michigan, in the Mitten. First off is, I think Lindsay brought her up. Her name is Steph or Stephanie Francisco. Her and her husband own a couple of food trucks. One is called Dune Buggy, and the other one is called Bougie Bowls. She is right. I know it's such a good name. She's amazing. She has been doing so much work around this area, trying to build a community, bringing people together to go on foraging walks. She's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to plants, flora, fauna, all of the stuff in our area. Just a wealth of knowledge and just the sweetest human possible. Also, Sarah Cash. She is the owner of the 12th House. It's a witchy metaphysical shop here in Grand Rapids. Definitely check her out. The 12th House has become kind of a hub for witchy and queer identifying individuals. Just a really safe place for people in a kind of conservative area. West Michigan is very Dutch, very Protestant, with a lot of outlying like Catholic and influences. So it's not always very safe around here, but she has created a space in the 12th house that feels safe and is just lovely. And her name was Sarah Cash.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Was there anything else you wanted to bring up? Any business stuff happening? Any questions you had for me? Any other things you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask?
I think just reiterating a call to action for people to move with love whenever they can, and the world needs more. It needs us to love its people and creatures and things and rocks and trees. It needs us to move through it with love more often. So that's the only thing I could really think of.
I like it.
Thank you.
So the last two things that I ask. Thing number one, recommend something to the listeners. It doesn't have to be witch related at all, just whatever you're into this week that you're like, hey, you should really try blah, blah, blah. What is it?
Okay. Well, something that has come across my radar recently, there is an artist here in West Michigan. Her name is C as in cat, R as in radio, Warner, as in Warner Broadcast. CR Warner, she just put out a new tarot deck called the Feminine Monochromatic, and it is gorgeous. We backed the Kickstarter back in October, November, and we just received the deck. So I'd love to give a shout out for that. It is called the Feminine Monochromatic by CR Warner, and it is just I don't like to pick favorites. I'm not good at it, but it is one of my favorite tarot decks I've ever seen. It is just beautiful. It's all hand illustrated by her, and it's gorgeous. I think people checking this podcast out would really love it.
That's really fast turnover for a Kickstarter deck.
Yeah.
Gosh.
It was crazy.
Good job, CW.
Yeah.
CR. Good job, CR.
Yeah, she was killing it.
So the last thing I ask is, please tell me a story. It could be a story from your life. It could be a kid's story you heard once, whatever. I just like stories.
So I'm going to apologize beforehand for the people listening. So my story that came to mind was about me being the hide and seek champion of my childhood friend group. We would play neighborhood wide games of hide and seek, and I had a spot that no one ever found. It was in my neighbor's garage, and I think all of the other kids were too scared to open the door without permission. Um,
That's cheating.
yeah, probably, but it's also why I became the champion. So, um, and one day we were playing, and I went to my spot that I had never been found in, and I was there easily 2 or 3 hours. Had not heard any commotion. I finally, kind of was like, they've probably given up. I came out, and of course, they had given up looking for me probably an hour beforehand. And unfortunately, during that 2 or 3 hours, I had a really bad poop hit me, and I was too committed to winning the game that
No.
I tried to hold it.
Oh, no.
That didn't quite work out. So there I was, hidden in my neighbor's garage, dropping trow, my 12-year-old body no longer able to hold my poop in. And I think of this whenever I worry that I won't be able to commit to something important in my life. And just as a follow-up to that story, I did go back and clean it up, and I never spoke of that predicament until I was a much older person.
That's dedication.
Yeah, I mean, if I got one thing.
That was not what I was expecting to hear at all.
Yeah. So you've met Mike.
So, Mike, thank you for the story.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Do you want to craft a spell with me?
I would love to.
Okay. So I had people you know, as well as I know them, just list off things. And I wrote them down, and then I'm going to pull them out. But before we do that, what spell are we doing? What are we working on?
So I would love the spell to focus on transmutation, to use something that we find in an unexpected way, and I would love to implore other people to try this themselves, to go out into nature wherever they feel comfortable and find something that calls.
To hear more of the members-only episode, head over to crepuscularconjuration.com. The monthly magic tier will give you access to the monthly Magic Marco Polo group, the private Facebook group, and access to the written monthly spells. There's also Crepuscular Conjurations, giving you bonus podcast episodes, coloring pages, guided meditations, spellcrafting videos, printable downloads, and a lot more. The free Witchy Wonderment level will give you a little sample of everything I just mentioned. You can also visit my shop, Clever Kim's Curios, to get spell boxes one at a time or by monthly subscription, intentional handcrafted jewelry that I make especially for witches, and handmade altar tools. You can even listen to the full Your Average Witch podcast library, including show notes and transcripts. Check it out at crepuscularconjuration.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Your Average Witch. You can find us all around the internet on Instagram at Your Average Witch Podcast, Facebook.com/groups/Hivehouse, at www.youraverageWitch.com, and at your favorite podcast service. If you'd like to recommend someone for the podcast, like to be on it yourself, or if you'd like to advertise on the podcast, send an email to youraverageWitchPodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday.